As we begin today, we want to thank you all again for meeting us at this place in your life. And today you will find out what we've been up to, and that is to really reassure you that you are on the right path and you meant to be here at this moment on the earth at this time because you are going to be so essential in moving your world forward. Now, we do understand that many of you have had trouble with this and you've had trouble with holding on to the belief that you were actually doing this, or this was the time that you were meant to do it. Even though we said to you at the last meeting, this is the most important lifetime that you have lived. You may not remember your other lifetimes or have very faint memories of that, but you have been here. You're eternal beings and spirits, and you're always coming through to perform a task. And that task is to help your world evolve. Now, there are challenges that come with that because each time you come in, as we've said before, you take different roles. Now, this time you've taken the role where you were going to be the loving beings that were going to help move everything forward. You've known that. You've known it for a really long time. But it's been a little challenging because you think that you're going to do this at specific times, and it is never that because you each have an evolutionary journey that you are on, as we've said before, and it coincides with what is occurring in your world. The reason we have the message on the screen from 2009 is, as we told you, that was a time of a big change in Roger's life. Now, many of you also related to that time in your life. We did that because we wanted to see that you always end up in groups of people who are showing you, reminding you of who you are and why you are here, why you decided to come here to the earth at this time. We really want you to try to believe that sentence because it makes everything easier. If you know that you came at a very specific time to cause something to occur, you will understand that what you're seeing in front of you are the things that you wanted because they would help you move over them to cause your evolution. This is the part we want you all to understand. You are doing an individual journey. You are on this individual journey, your life, that is always unfolding in just the right time and in the right ways. And the other part of that is that you're doing it collectively. You each are doing that. You come together to cause evolution, which is what is occurring now. Now, we started giving you information more than almost 2 years ago about the restructuring. We said the restructuring was occurring within you and it's occurring within your world. It has to because you're the same thing. You are the world. That's difficult for you to understand, but you are. And so this time, what you're doing is you're deciding what you're going to believe and what you're going to own. Because see, you didn't do that always in the other lives. So whatever that is, you're looking at it now and deciding this is the time that you are going to make a huge change, a big difference if you decide to move forward in your journey. Please understand that. You know what that means. You each have something in front of you that you've hung on to, that you felt was there forever. You felt it was there. And you were wondering when you were going to actually achieve that or accomplish that. You're doing it now. That's why you're here. Your essence is so powerful. And we keep becoming urgent about this because we also know what would occur if you do not own who you are, which is why we gave you a message many weeks ago that said the world that you desire to see is not guaranteed, meaning you each are creating your future worlds right now. And the only way that you can do that, the only way you can accomplish that, if you decide that you're going to own who you are. And the only way you're going to do that, as we said before, is to become authentic. And authenticity is a lack of self-judgment. Now, but you're given another dilemma right now. See, because you're going to see, as we've been saying for quite a while, you're going to see the others. You're going to see all of those people out there doing something different than what you're doing. And then you're going to be tempted to judge that. And as we said before, if you go there, your goal, what you wanted to achieve in this lifetime will be lost because you came to move the world forward in a different way. And you came to offer understanding because that's far more powerful than any darkness that you might see. And we're saying this because we know what you're going to see. You pretend that Your actions do not manifest results. You have done that for centuries. You have done that for eons. Now we're talking about the collective you. We're talking about your world. The reason that we took you back to Afghanistan in our last outing was to show you what was going to happen now. It happened yesterday. You're seeing that you did something and you kept doing it collectively, not just the United States, as we said, but it's been collectively your entire world. And you think that you're going to change something by forcing them to change instead of you changing. You see, you set this up to be here now so you could change. You think it's about all of them, but no, it's you. It's you deciding to own what is within you, to own the gift that you have to offer the world. And you picked a stressful time to do that because it would cause you to make the biggest change in your life. It would cause you to own some greater portion of who you are that you'd never experienced before. That's why this is so unnerving to you. That's why it feels frightening. And you can see in the message that we gave Roger in 2009, the last part of it, we knew what was coming. That's why we gave it to you then. You see, because there's a timeline of your world that you can see very easily if you bother to study your history and use logic to see what is going to occur. As we said before, we're not giving you predictions. We're not being psychics here. We're just giving you the logical results of the actions that you take. And each of you has the ability, you possess the ability to do that within yourselves. You know those times that things come up and are presented to you and you say, no, that could not possibly be me. I could not be the person to do that. I couldn't be the person to make that difference. You've done that throughout civilizations, and every civilization you make a change. You do. You make a change and you become more inclusive. You accept more of who you are. And it's a great discussion this morning that Roger had, and we're looking at, and one person said, well, I could never change. I could never like them. I could never really forgive them for what they have done. And I said, oh, wow, you're right? You're correct. This is why we gave you the other message that we would love for you all to read later. Because when you understand that, and if you accept it and if you embody it, you will move through this next period of your world's history in a much easier way. Because see, you are right. And everyone that you're going to judge believes the same thing. And so there you are. You wanted that dilemma. See, you wanted that choice. We told you a while ago you were going to choose, and this is the choice we were talking about. You were going to come here, you're going to be here now, and you're going to choose who you wanted to be. And each of you know this. You know that you have this part of you that is so wonderful and loving, but you judge yourself at the same time for feeling that way. Because look at other people, they don't see you in that way. They're not acting that way in the world. No, because you wanted to do that this time. As we have told you, you've been here many times, and each time you take a different role, but you have to, because see, nothing changes unless you have contrast, unless you have conflict, and sometimes chaos. As we've told you, we've given you several messages on chaos. You create chaos in your lives, and you create chaos in the world because it's a really uncomfortable place to be. And then you will do something to resolve the chaos because you want to feel comfortable. And the only thing that you can do to ever feel comfortable is to own who you are. That's all. And you can only do that when you, again, release the judgments. Now, we will say that it takes time, which is why every message that we've given you of late has said that we're giving you things in bits and pieces, because you don't accept everything readily. You don't do it in your lives. You haven't done it in your societies, which is why it takes so long for your worlds to change. But if you examine what has happened, you have done that. We're taking you back to history because the fearful elements that will arise within each of you might be a bit much. So we want you to understand you have done this many times before. Your world will come together in ways that cause conflict, and because you're breaking down structures. This is what we said before. You're breaking down a big structure that has existed in your world and within you. It's a restructuring. And you are here now to participate. And your essence is important. The one thing that you're going to all come to understand a bit more is your importance. And as you said, as we've said, these entire messages, what we're doing with you, we want to mitigate, help to mitigate your fear and doubt, because that's the thing that has held you back your entire life here, but also within your evolutionary journey. It's gone on forever. You each are here now also to collectively move through a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment, because you will examine what you have done individually and collectively, and then you might be tempted to judge yourself for that instead of understanding that all you were doing was evolving. And that's the point that we want you each to look at your lives now. See, because you've walked through your lives and a lot of stuff is happening, a lot of circumstances, a lot of things have gone on, but you thought you did something wrong maybe, or made a mistake or any of that. And that was never the case. You did all of those things so you could be here now on this day to understand why you did it, because you're making a huge change in your world. You are doing that. And again, we want you to look at that final message is the one that this whole event of your pandemic or your lockdown or whatever you want to call it, this entire event was meant to cause all of you to understand a bit more. The only thing that will survive from all of this is the light. That's what always goes on. And we had a conversation this morning with someone who said, no, nothing has ever changed. Nothing has changed. You're still doing all the same things. In one sense, you could look at that and you could see some of the events of your world and you could think that, but then that means you're discounting the vast changes your humanity has made for eons. Your world looks nothing like it did 500 years ago. How do you think that occurred? You made changes. People decided, oh, we're going to come together and we're going to own some aspect of ourselves because we know that's going to make a difference to the world. And only a few people decide to do that. But you decided to do it. That's why you're here now. That is exactly why you're here. And you know this. What we are doing is offering confirmation. And again, we use Roger because he's had so much doubt and fear. So what better person could it be to talk about this, because he's also seen, we have shown him the results of what does go on. So he has a bit more a sense of what is going on now. But even with that understanding, just like you, he has trouble with owning that, which is why he had trouble even getting here today. Because we gave him so much information and he's saying, no, I can't do that. I can't give all of that. See, that's what you've done too. You each are so powerful. You could cause the change in your world if you were only to believe that, because your thoughts are so much more powerful than anything that exists in your physical experience. And you each are coming to see that and understand it on a deep level. That's why you're here again. And the last thing we gave you in that message from 2009 is the one we want you to kind of embody, is that you don't leave. Your physical body, yes, leaves the planet, but your spirit is going to be here. Your legacy is going to be here. And what you're each are doing now is adding to that legacy. What you're moving through now, and the reason this is so huge, and the reason we called it a restructuring, is that you've used many, many years, we'll just use the last 20, as we said, where you kept making choices that were not for the greater good of all. And so this imbalance, as we've told you, started to occur. So you needed a big shift to cause a new restructuring, which would create a new balance. You'll start to, as you've done over your generations, you start to include more people. See, you start to say, oh, wait a minute. If I'm excluding this person, then I'm excluding myself. That's the realization you always come to. Every civilization, you learn a little bit more of that. That's why sometimes you say, oh, now we can bring women in. We can give them the right to vote this time. We can make them equal citizens. Only to hear, though, We'll wait to the next civilization until we do more. Oh, no, let's look at the other races. Maybe we can bring them in a little bit more now. Oh, no, not all of them, just a few. That's what humanity has done, you see. But now you're in this great restructuring, and you decided that you were going to come because this was the time that you could perform the act that would cause you to love yourselves. That's it. That's all that it ever is, which is why we gave you the first message, love or fear. Those are only the choices. Those are the only choices that you are ever making. And they're not even that difficult for you to figure out. They really aren't. See, because when you do something that causes you to feel good, you're doing love. You're offering love to yourself, to the world. That's all that's going on. And if you choose fear, that means that you believe that the last sentence we gave you wasn't true, that you're going to die somehow from whatever action you might take. And that is not occurring. And you know that. There's a difference. We've given you in the past the difference of the understanding your fears. There are fears that do serve you, of course, because they would cause you not to harm yourself, your physical body, or someone else. Those fears that will come up, you pay attention to those. Everything else is something you've made up. You've made up the fear based on your lack of belief in your importance and your belief in your insignificance, you see? And so now that's changing. And you felt it. You each have felt that, and you felt it beyond just the last 2 years. You've been feeling for a long time. You've been feeling something that was building that you were meant to do that was just coming about continually. And it's not accidental that you're hanging out with these other people. See, because that's what you do. You place yourselves in the right situations where you will see others, you will meet others of a like mind, because then you feel, oh, wow, I'm in the right place. I'm going in the right direction. And then the more of you who come together in that way, in that manner, you create an energy of momentum that starts to change things. That's what creates your world. As we told you before, you have the ability to create anything with your focused attention, meaning that your thoughts carry this electromagnetic charge that goes out into the world and creates everything. It is not about the actions that you're taking. It is the intention behind it. The intention of your thoughts holds the power, you see, because all you're doing is directing energy. We've talked to you about the recent studies that you've made in your brain chemistry. You've seen that your emotions are connected to the actions that you have taken. You can measure it now. You had not known that before, again, which is part of evolution of you as an individual and the evolution of your world collectively. You have science now to show you how these things happen, how you control your lives and the lives of others, basically, when you start to use your focused attention. And when you come together in groups such as this even, and those who will even hear it later, those who will hear the replay of this session you're the same. You're not hearing it by accident. You never are. But now you're more willing to listen, you're more willing to pay attention, and we want more of you to believe it. We're saying that because we've made, as we've said before, these messages, these sessions with you very urgent to Roger, because he was going to back away. He says, no, I can't do that. It's too much for me, which is what you've done. See, we keep bringing this up because you've done it. But no, you are so capable. You have everything in your hands right now to begin to create the world that you want to see. And we say begin because we've given you these, showing you how it takes periods of time for you to change, for you to shift, for you to accept who you are. And the same goes on in your world. Civilization changes a bit at a time and you're still doing it, except if you believe that you're not. And that's what you have to start. We're saying have to because we're so passionate about this, because we know that when you come together, you will move through this period in such a great way. And you're going to effectively cause change in your life and that of your world. So many of you have had situations and circumstances that occurred in your life that you did not understand. They were confusing, and you had questions about them. Why am I going through this? Why did I have this experience? Why did I don't know. But recently, and because we know this has happened recently, you started to see that was why that happened. Now I'm starting to connect the dots. Now I'm starting to understand. Each of you has done this. See, because you have, again, as we began telling you months ago, you have this evolutionary journey that you're on, and it's connected to your individual DNA. We love using that as well, because when you understand that you're this individual, no one has the exact makeup as you, which is why you were given this life path to follow, because it was going to be an integral part of your contribution to the world, even when you didn't believe that it is. Your essence is that. We gave you a message a while ago, and we would love for you to find it, those of you who go to our message and search, but read the message on baking a cake, because we gave you that to tell you what was going on here. You know, the analogy was when you bake a cake, you put in all these different ingredients because you want to create a flavor. You want to create something that's great for you, that feels, that tastes good, that feels good. And so you put all the ingredients in. You would never leave out certain ingredients, because then the cake wouldn't have the flavor. It wouldn't have the zest that you want it to have. That's what you're doing in your world. And you're an ingredient. You're an essential ingredient, but you just have not known that. And you may not have ever known it in your entire life, but then all of a sudden you wake up to it and oh, there it is. And that's what many of you are doing now. And then there are others who have been on this long, long, long journey, and you've known that there was something you were supposed to do, but you're waiting. Why hasn't it happened now? Why haven't I done it yet? It's because you were on a different path. You are on a longer path, and this your evolutionary journey. And we've told you before, you're an old soul, meaning that you've been here, you've had these experiences, you understand more of what's going on now, which is why you're being asked to step up and be brighter. And we use that intentionally, to be brighter. And that is when you own those little dreams that you've had, the things that you thought were impossible, that you couldn't do, you're going to do them now. If you change your mind, that's all you're doing, is changing your mind and starting to accept and believe that the thing that you have felt is here now, and you timed it perfectly because you wanted to offer your essence into a world that needed it, and that's now. And we know that's occurring for you, and we know that you felt some of this, but more of you, there are others of you who had this little inkling of something that you were supposed to do, a little inkling. And you said, can I really believe that? Yes. And you're going to now. And you will not leave your physical life until you feel that you have completed that. You see, until you feel that you have accomplished that goal that you've been trying to find for a long time, but it's there and it's in front of you now. And each of you will know what that is. You know what it is, and you just have to step into it. And once you do, you will notice huge shifts, not only within you, but within your world. And we're saying this because we also know what you're going to see before that time arises, before that time occurs. And so you must remember why you're here. And that's that first thing that we have on the screen. And then later, after you hear this again, if you listen to this video again, then you'll read the other message, which we'll have Roger send with the replay, because then it will really make sense. It ties it together. We do these things because, and we use Roger, as we said, because he doesn't know why these dates are showing up, but they're always showing up for a reason. And the reason was we want to show you there's an orderly progression to your life. That divine plan that you've always heard about, yes, it exists. You're living it. You're doing it. You each have one, and it is yours, and it is unique. No one else is going to do it. And so when you stop looking outside to try to see your example in everyone else, you will come to know who you are. Because no one's doing what you can do. No one has your specific DNA. And you're part of that cake we're baking. That's what's happening right now. No matter what you see, we need you to know what is occurring. You're coming to a resolution. You're coming to a reckoning. And the reckoning is always occurring first within you. Whatever lifetime you are living, that's what's happening. You pick a time to come into the world, and then you will have these places where you start to awaken to what your mission was, and it is a mission that you each had, and then you start to live it. And then you evolve until you come back the next time. But in the meantime, you've also done your job. You've done the job of helping your world to evolve. And again, we're going to say this because we really want you to believe it. This is a big one. This is the best, the biggest lifetime you've ever lived. And we're going to keep talking to you because we know what it's going to look like, but we're going to keep pointing out what you're not noticing. Because when you're focused on the chaos, you're not noticing the progress. And we only want you to notice the progress. There's certain aspects that many of you have missed that are occurring in your world because of these happenings where people are coming about in ways they never imagined. They're becoming creative. The new technology has been evolved. There's just so many things that have happened that you won't notice if all you see is the chaos. But you came to see something different, and you know that. You know that you've envisioned this other world. You've had this dream about it. You've even thought maybe you're a little delusional for having that dream. No, you weren't. You were just supposed to realize it during this time, which is why you showed up here. If there's anything we've said throughout these sessions, what we have always said, we just want you to believe in who you are. And in the process, we're helping to mitigate your fear and doubt. Because the doubt is always there. You would have to have it. As we've said before, and we don't want you to judge yourselves about that. You could not evolve unless you had doubt, because you wouldn't ask any questions. You see, you wouldn't ask any questions unless you doubted what you felt. And then when you answer the question, meaning that you move into the thing that you've doubted, then you evolve, you accept, you develop, you grow another part of you. That's what we mean. Yes, think of it that way. You grow another aspect of who you are. You're infinite beings with access to infinite intelligence, capable of creating anything that you want when you decide to believe it. And we're going to keep talking about this because, as we said, we're going to beat you down until you start to believe it, until you know how important you are. Because we know that unless you do that, you're not going to create the world that we want to see. That's what's really happening. That's what's really going on. Now we're going to take you to the dilemma that you each will have, because you're going to experience it in your lives, in your personal lives, and you're going to experience it in your world. You're going to have differences. You're going to have people who are going to present to you their beliefs really strongly. They're going to present to you your beliefs, and it's going to cause you to react in some way. What you're called on to do now is to react from the place that you know is the higher place within you. The higher place within you is going to be your reaction. As we had the conversation with the person this morning, and we said, well, if nothing is going to change, if no one is going to change, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue the friction, the conflict, the wars that you've carried on for centuries and centuries? Are you going to keep doing that? Or are you going to use your ego to hold you where you've always been? And as we explained to you last time, your ego is that thing that you've created around you that tells you can't move outside of your comfort zone. But now you have to, because everything that you want is outside of where you have been. And this period is giving you the opportunity to know that, to experience that, to feel that, and to love it. So when you see, because some of this is going to be closer than you think. Some of this will be in your families, you see, that will be within your families. And you're going to not understand why these opinions, why these differences, why these beliefs are coming up. They're coming up so that you can see them, so that you can come to know yours, decide to own them without any judgment, and fulfill this part of your evolutionary journey that you intended to fulfill. That's why you were born. And the other thing, again, we want to say this because we cannot say it enough. You operate in linear time. So you think that things are supposed to happen in these sequential ways that, only in that way. And we understand that because humans do that, which is why we've been giving you things where we refer to specific dates within Roger's life. So you can see a kind of continuity there. However, that continuity is going on within your entire physical, your entire spiritual evolutionary journey. You're understanding yourself at certain points of that. But if you just keep it here, it's easy. If you just keep it in this lifetime, you can see it. You know the things that many years ago, that thing was in front of you, but you didn't think you could do it then, or you didn't believe it at that time. And now it's back. That's a good thing, because now you'll do it. We gave you a message about that too. We gave you a message also, look at that one. We said a while ago, we said, don't give up this time. We said that because you've each been on this path before in some place, wherever it is, whatever is in front of you, you've been there. And so now you have this great opportunity to decide to own it, to decide to move into it, to decide to embrace who you are and to love every aspect of it. Because we want you to get this, because this will be the key for you. When you understand that you are all one, which is what we said this whole entire restructuring was about, was to bring more of you to that place. So when you understand that you are all one, and you see those other people that you're going to judge harshly, how can you do that without judging yourself? How are you going to accomplish that without judging yourself? And this is what we said this entire restructuring is about, is to get more of you to come to understand that. But not everyone is going to do that. Not everyone is going to be aware of that. That's not what they chose this particular lifetime. They chose something different this lifetime, but you chose this. You did. And it's going to be glorious when you decide to love yourself. And it's going to be the best feeling that you've ever had. Yes, you're going to look at all the chaos to get there, but you can do it if you decide to come together collectively as you're doing here, which is why we created these. We want more of you to understand it, because that feeling of security you each will develop from these talks, you will take out into the world. That starts change. And we're not saying it's easy for you. See, because you're working through something else. You need to understand this. You have your journey. Each of you, it's different, and it happened at different times in your life, but it's always about you moving through some disbelief in yourself. It's always that, every lifetime, because see, your disbelief is always a limitation, and limitations are of human making, that's all. Humans make up limitations, and you've done that, but you would have to, because you wanted to break free from it. You wanted to break through it. You've done it every lifetime you have lived. And this one is, as we said, a big one for you. But we want you to appreciate the enormity of what you're doing and to own it. Because the more of you who do that, you're going to start to see the world that you want. We told you before that your weather was not an accident either. And it wasn't accidental that it was all occurring at the same time. Because we thought that if we had more events happening, that maybe more of you would pay attention and start burning down your planet, as we told you months ago. But again, if you decided that you wanted to do it, you could do it. You could actually start to create the change you wanted to see. Now, we're not saying that you will see it in this physical lifetime, but you know that if you start doing it now, that the legacy you will leave something different for all those who come behind. And that's what you're each doing now. But it doesn't happen unless you decide that you're going to come together and love yourself and start seeing others as you, because otherwise you're not going to move through this next period very easily. And we'll say that because that's what is happening. But you must understand that you are such great beings who came here to be here at this time. And we are so grateful for that, because we know what can happen when you come together, when you believe it, accept it, and move in that direction, each of you. You will start to remember those parts of you. We want to say this because some of you have been doing it already. Some of you, it's been really kind of surprising. And as we said to you that, the synchronicities will start to show up. We meant those as coincidences, those things that you'll start to understand that feel to you to be synchronicities, but no, they're just signposts. They're just things that are showing you, to give you encouragement, actually, that you are on the right path, that you're doing all the right stuff. Everything, every aspect of your life was meant to bring you here now with the knowledge, with the wisdom, with the experience that you have to effectuate a change within your life that's going to permeate into the world. That's what's going to happen. And that's why you each are here. And it's so fulfilling for us to be able to offer this, because we know that what it is doing is moving Roger through his blockages. Because see, this is really terrible. He didn't want to do this. He doesn't want to be here, just like you didn't want to do it. You didn't want to go out there. You didn't want to say this stuff. But now you will, because you felt a little more courage. You felt a little more belief. And you're going to feel more of it. It's going to come up. You're going to remember what we are seeing today. What we're telling you today, you're going to remember it. And so when you start witnessing the things you're seeing in your world, you're going to remember to come back into who you are and say, oh, wow, okay, I love them. I just know they're in a different path right now, and they're helping me to understand who I am. That's all. And the more of you who accept that, more of you who believe that, more of you who start utilizing that, you will effectuate that, you will create that change that you wanted to see here. You will. And it's that little part of you, and each of you have had it in different ways. You've had it in your work, in your businesses, you've had it in your vocations. It's always been there. Something that you felt, no, I'm supposed to do this. I know that I was meant to do this. You were right. You were right. We have several messages, and we love doing this because we want you to take a little journey. And there are several messages on the site that Roger's dutifully saved for us, and they're on there on the Any Advice for Today's site. And go and find them. Look for them. They say, "What if you were right?" You see, isn't that the question you all want to answer? What if I was right? What if the thing that I thought I was supposed to do, what if I was right? You do not want to ask that question when you leave your physical body. You might want to decide to answer it now, because you have the forces of the universe behind you, giving you the impetus, the energy, everything you need right now to be able to answer that question, because you are right. You were right in what you believed you were here to do. And we're just going to help keep moving you along and pushing you until you decide to believe it and own it and manifest it, because you will do that. But you were right. We would like to open now for questions. You do have the ability to unmute, and please just ask whatever you would like to know, any challenges you might be experiencing, whatever it is that you're feeling. Any fears, anything, anything that you would like further clarification from this talk or our other talks, or anything that might be occurring for you now?
Roger, or Wilhelm, I wonder what we can be doing. We seem to be in a very bad situation in the world, or a greater crisis than I've experienced in my lifetime. And I keep wondering what we as individuals can do, and then collectively can do as people who maybe feel that we are here for a reason. I'd really like that guidance. That's why I'm here.
In our last conversation, we told you about focused attention, and we said that you are so powerful, but you've missed part of that. And we started off with using the image of power. We said you have misunderstood that interpretation. See, because power is energy, and energy is controlled and directed by your thoughts. See, if you were to sit, you think nothing is happening when you're doing your meditations or where you're putting out energy of what you want to see, energy of love, energy of peace, and all of that. It is creating something. It really is. But you have difficulty causing that to manifest because at the same time, each of you has accepted a belief in your insignificance. And so we want you to think that you are the person who saved the world. You know, the thing that you're embarrassed about saying or owning, no, we want you to own it and say it because you are, but it's in your energy. It is in your thoughts. Sometimes you believe that your actions are going to be more powerful. What you're going to go out and protest and you're going to do all these things and that's going to change it. The energy behind that will do something, but the intention of the energy you're holding will do far more. And the more of you who believe this, the more of you understand this, you see, you're creating the momentum that we talked about. You're creating a momentum of energy that will shift your world. You could change your weather. We're saying that if you start to understand, oh, wait a minute, I can control things with my thoughts. Thank you for this question. We're coming back to something else. We told you an incident. We've talked about it so often, and that was the thermostat. Roger and the thermostat. You see, because he felt that he would feel that the temperature was too warm or too cold or it was something. And then he would get up and he would go to the thermostat. But before he could touch it, it changed. It did what he wanted to do. He started yelling at it because he thought, wait a minute, what's happening here? Am I controlling that? Do I have that much power? Yeah, you do. You each do. And that's the part. That's why we gave you that analogy. You do have the power to change all of that. You've seen it in some of your magicians and those folks who've done these things, the mentalists, as you call them, but you can do the same thing. It is just the energy. Everything that exists is energy, and you have access to it. You have just as much, you have access as anyone else. There's no one who's given more access to energy than you. So you each are coming to understand that now, which is part of your evolutionary journey. Do we have more?
Last week, I had an idea to do something, and then I thought, oh, it won't make a difference. And then I remembered last week's talk and said, it might make a difference, and I'm going to do it anyway. And so I did. So I think we can take strength from what we're hearing, that we do have the power to make a difference. Maybe we can be the ripple of the stone.
Yes, and that is why you're here. That is exactly why you're here. It's for each of you, again, in your own journey, you're grabbing onto this piece of you that you didn't believe. And so to take something and do it that you feel guided to, and then even though you don't have any proof of the results you will receive or how it's going to manifest, that is the best thing, because now you're trusting yourself, see? Because that's the only reason each of you were born, was to come to trust yourself and to believe in your intuition. You each have it. You've been given guidance. But we understand that it becomes challenging to accept that because, see, you're doing it for the first time. You are. You're doing it for the first time. Each of you is moving into a new experience of you, a new aspect of who you are. And moving to the unknown is frightening. We want you to understand that too, because that's why your world is the way it is. It's moving, this restructuring is causing many people to move into unknowns of themselves. And that also is contributing to the chaos that you see, because people don't want to change. You don't want to change. You don't want to own yourself and move out there. Everybody else is doing the same thing, which is why we said you were right and so are they, because that's what's going on. But you guys, you're going to do something a little different this time. Each time you're moving into trusting yourself a little bit more and owning yourself just a little bit more, and you will see the difference that it's going to create in your world. And we will continually bring it up because, as we said, we can see what is coming and how you need to own who you are, which is why we gave you the message years and years ago. You were being prepared. Each of you were being prepared for this moment, this time in your life, to cause a great change in you and the world, because it's the same thing. Is there more?
Yes. I was given a gift. I have to call it a gift last week. I called the state to find out, get clarification. I keep hearing that word. I keep hearing my name, Clarity. So I obviously have chosen the right name for myself and the right purpose as far as that goes. But I called the state, and as many of you know, whenever you call a phone line, you go through a phone tree and you're on hold, and then you may not actually reach the person that can help you. You get put on hold again. And I was well over an hour when I got to the second person, who was the person that was supposed to find out the actual information that the first person couldn't access because of some bureaucracy in the system. So I talked with this woman, and her name was Irina. And I make a point now to know the person's name that I'm talking to, so that I'm not just talking to, they know I'm interested enough to know their name and that. Anyway, towards the end of the conversation, I could hear her frustration. And she kept apologizing for the computer. And my heart went out to her, because all she's doing is apologizing for something that is out of her control. And my heart went out to her because I'd done phone work, and it was a very short job. I didn't qualify. I didn't sell enough things because I wasn't ruthless enough, I guess. But it was the most heartbreaking work I had ever done, because I had to access a part of myself that was trying to influence people to do things.
Okay, what was your intention in making the phone call?
To find out, clarify what I am responsible for as far as after my medical benefits, because I've been getting mixed messages from my medical providers as to what I'm
That
responsible.
was not the purpose. That was not the intention.
No, it wasn't.
That was not the intent, but you explained to everyone, because see, you're going to be a demonstration for everyone here to show what the intention was, and to show why you stepped up to your purpose, even though you didn't know you were doing it.
No.
And so what you said, because you said it, you asked her what her name was.
Yes.
Because you made her important.
She was a human. Yes.
That was the only reason you showed up there. All the other stuff that you thought you were doing was not that. You showed up there because you wanted to show her that she was important. And then you did that because you reflected on your experience, your past experience. You knew how you felt. And then you started to offer your understanding to that person, which is why you're here, which is why you're demonstrating exactly what we want each of you to come to understand. That's what you did.
And after it happened, before we disconnected, she had mentioned that she was going to be on the same system as me, which indicated to me she was getting ready for retirement. And I said, well, this is what I've been doing. I try to remain simple and do all these things, but I appreciate where you're at, and that there's a lot of changes going on, but I also want you to know that your experience is still valuable. You came to this job to help people, and it's kind of out of your hands now. So you do feel helpless. And I hear you, and I want you to know that I care about how you're dealing with your job, and I want you to take that love that you're hearing now from me, and I want you to take that home with you.
Thank you. You just did it for everyone, however. And so we want you to appreciate that as well, because the entire point of the talks that we've been doing is to get each of you to experience and appreciate what you have to offer others. And that is giving of yourself and understanding your true nature and the essence of who you are. And that was just a wonderful demonstration of that. And each of you who would decide to remember someone else's name, oh, wow, what joy that would be for your world, because see, now you're being seen. You're willing to have to see others, and you're willing to be seen by that action as well, which is just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have more?
I just read the message that was from earlier today, and it was talking about your physical body will give you signs that you're on the right path as well.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I kind of get goosebumps when something's happening. So
Yes.
that really resonated as a confirmation. And I just, yeah, wanted to raise that one.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You each will have physical sensations because you're connected. Everything about you, your spirit, your mind, your body, they're all connected. And you each will form different ways of giving yourself signals. It's actually your higher selves or your guides giving you those signals to tell you that, yes, you're going in the right direction. We're so happy that you brought that up, because this is something that we did mention earlier on. Roger would sit with us, and we want to say this because each of you have done this. He would sit and he would receive the information. He'd think, do I believe this? Do I really want to put it out there? And we go, yes, please stop holding back. And then we would send through chills to give him a signal. Yes, okay, it's all right. And that is exactly what you experience. You will each do it in different ways. Sometimes even your physical distresses are giving you information as well. So please don't discount that. Sometimes distresses that are saying you're moving in the wrong direction, please make a shift. But those other feelings, they feel like chills. People call them angel bumps. That's exactly what they are. They're recognition that, yes, you're doing what you're supposed to do. So please believe in yourself and keep going. Do we have more? We are complete, but first of all, we want you to remember what we've said here today and to hold this in your hearts as you start moving through the next several weeks. And we will, again, give you so much more next week that will keep you on the path that you decided you wanted to live this time. Thank you all for being here.
Yes, and thank you for sharing with your friends too.
Hi. Okay. And we are back. We had didn't have someone else they didn't get in. I didn't create a I didn't create a co-host to give people in. No, it's okay. I guess they heard everything. They've gotten it all. Okay, I'm going to send wow. I'm going to send a replay to everyone, and then I'll remember. I'll listen so I can remember what was said, which is going to be fun. Oh. Okay, anybody have anything else to say before we head out of here?
Hello, Ryan.
Yes.
Hello, Roger. How are you?
Hi, great. How are you?
Good. First time here. Loved it.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
Welcome.
Perfect. Great. I had a competing event today too. There's a event that I'm a part of that's being aired right now, and I thought, oh, I should be on there, but it's okay. I'll get back there later. Oh, great. Kathy said, thank you so much, Roger. What a wonderful session. Sorry, I have to jump off now, but I so appreciate you. Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say how grateful I am, and I think I speak for everyone else here, that you've allowed this to happen, because you're changing so many lives.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, this is wonderful. Thank you all so very much. And I'll send the replay as well. So we'll all have it, and with that other message too. Okay. I will see you all soon.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
being better at being you.
Great.
Bye.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
on the one.
Yeah, we're the ripples. We're the stones that make the ripples.
Right, exactly. Thank you all.